So firstly, what we're going to see is our young people seeking more independence. So this is likely to influence the decision that your child makes and the relationships that your child has with family and friends. They now want to do things on their own, even when it's a bit scary, or if you feel that they're not capable. It's not okay for you to walk with them anywhere or be seen dropping them off or picking them up. They may still want you to, but they're also looking for ways now to survive without you. So unless the consequences are unsafe, we would recommend that you let them try, but be there to pick them up if they fail. We all learn by experiences, don't we? Just telling your teenager that something won't work. So maybe find a compromise, maybe meet them halfway through their journey. This also helps them not to have to lose face or back down when they realise that actually walking home late at night is scary. Or consider getting them to check in with you at certain checkpoints on that journey. The nature of teenage brain development means that teenagers are likely to seek out new experiences and, as we said, engage in more risk-taking behaviour. So teenagers are more likely than you to engage in dangerous driving, hence those huge insurance costs. They're more likely to engage in binge drinking, drug use, risky sexual behaviours, etc. Sometimes they can see the risk, but they are still developing control over these impulses. And that means they're likely to make wrong or unsafe decisions. Teenagers are also more likely to focus on their peers in decision making. So there are moments when they really do care more about what their friends think of them than what you think. Suddenly you're making their life boring. We never do anything, and they're looking for that constant excitement or something to post on their Instagram page. Social media plays a big part in this because it makes it look like everyone else's life is way more exciting than theirs. And sometimes the number of likes from a post is a way that teens can validate some of their decision making. It's that peer acceptance that they're looking for. Don't forget that our teenagers are searching for identity. Young people are busy working out who they are and where they fit in the world. Until now, this has generally been shaped by you, their family. Now that search is influenced by their peer group, by what's going on in the background, by media, by school, by gender, and also still by your expectations of them. There's a lot to work through before you feel confident in who you are. Most of us evolve throughout our life in this, but not as much as we do in our teenage years. And it really does take a lot of brain capacity to work through all of this. And then we come to sex. Wow, their hormones are really kicking in now. So these hormones affect teenagers' mood, their emotions, their impulses, as well as their bodies. And the mood swings that we see our teenagers experience is caused by these fluctuations in estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, the sex hormones. These same hormones affect the way that they think about dating. So our teenagers suddenly become much more interested in sex, sometimes to the point of obsession as these hormones kick into gear. It may be really difficult for you to think that your teenager's body and mind are being controlled by the forces of nature instead of being directed by your guidance. Many adolescents feel that the changes they're experiencing due to these teenage hormones are weird, freakish, or unnatural. And in fact, almost everything that teens go through during adolescence is a normal part of their development, but they will need your reassurance of this. They also tend to assume that all their friends are having sex, even if they're not. Chloe's going to discuss keeping them safe with you in those first relationships in a bit. But the most important thing you can take away from this evening is to make it okay to talk about sex with your teenagers. It's proved that teenagers who feel comfortable talking openly to a parent or another adult about sex are less likely to go through with something that they really don't want to do. They're also less likely to have an unplanned pregnancy or to contract an STI. If you can give your teenager the sense that you are open to anything that they have to say, good or bad, they are much more likely to share with you what is going on in their lives. Please try and encourage honest discussions of sexuality and answer these questions as frankly as possible. Every family here tonight is going to have its own values and beliefs about sexual activity in the teenage years. And the important thing is that these beliefs are communicated clearly, and that the opportunity to talk about them and discuss is always left open. Try not to react badly or judge them if they tell you something that you don't like. We need to try and remember that once upon a time we experienced the same feelings and drives as our teenage children do now. Try and think back to your first love and how obsessed you were and how intense those feelings were. You might not want to share that with your teenager, but try and think back to what those feelings were like. As we said, in week 3, we are going to look in more detail about how to have some of these difficult conversations and keep those channels of communication open. But we have got some clips later tonight that you can share that could be great conversation openers. I know it can be embarrassing, but it really helps if we can get over it. You may also find now that your teenager shows really strong feelings and intense emotions at different times. Their moods are going to seem really unpredictable. And these emotional ups and downs when you're living in the same home as them is going to lead to increased conflict. So your child's brain is still learning how to control and express emotions in a grown-up way. They may appear to be totally oblivious or insensitive to your emotions, but as time goes on, they will get better at reading and processing other people's emotions. But while they're developing these skills, they can often misread facial expressions or body language, and apologizing is so difficult. So our teenagers are thinking way more about right and wrong, and so they'll start developing a stronger individual set of values and morals. They'll learn that they're responsible for their own actions, decisions, and consequences, and therefore they'll start to challenge more things. So your words and actions have previously shaped your child's sense of right and wrong, which means that there may be lots of arguments coming up with you about just about everything. And I could list 1,000 behaviours that are risky to us that our teenagers will not see as dangerous in any way. They don't see risk in the same way that we do. Their brains are just not developed enough to weigh up the risk and make a balanced decision. They're infallible, remember? Nothing can hurt them, right? But that's fine until something does hurt them. And then they need a parent or carer. They need a responsible adult. They and we are not superheroes. Things do hurt and they need someone to offload to and be available.